Hello and welcome to the True Crime Lounge. Today we're going to be talking about the top case, the most famous cases from your state. That's right. We're going to be talking about one case from your state. This will be a two-parter, possibly three-parter. It depends on how far I get. But we will start with. But before I continue, I want you to hit that like button, comment, and subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. Alright, we're going to take a short break and we'll get started. The first state on our list is going to be in alphabetical order, and that is Alabama. That's right, you guessed it. So, what famous case is happening in Alabama? Well, I'm going to take you back to 1984 to when Sherry Lynn Marlowe went missing from Greenville, Alabama. This happened June 6, 1984, when she was only 12 years old. She was a native to Greenville with her stepfather, and she went in town to run errands with her stepfather, my bad. While he went to the bank to sign some papers, he gave her $1 to go buy a soda from a vending machine and told her to meet him back in the truck in 15 minutes. She hasn't been seen since. But her mom, Betty Stringfellow, told the Montgomery Advisor in 2015 that's when the nightmare started 30 and a half years ago. That was 2015, so this case is almost 40 years old, guys. Next on our list, we have Alaska. So, what famous case happened in Alaska? Clearly, no, you would think nothing could happen in Alaska, right? You'll be surprised. Well, in Alaska, passengers fishing on a fishing boat investor were killed in Craig in 1982. Interesting. 8 people, including a man, his pregnant wife, their 2 children, and teenage deckhand, were shot to death aboard a fishing boat called the Investor on September 6, 1982, People magazine reported. The killer is then believed to have returned to the scene the next day to set the boat on fire. It was the biggest mass murder in Alaskan history and rocked many small fishing towns, including the town of Craig, when it took place. This case was featured in People magazine Investigates on Investigation Discovery, and is subject of a true crime book, What Happens in Craig, Alaska's Worst Unsolved Mass Murder. Next on our list we have Arizona. This is the case of Pauline Robin Burgett, who was fatally stabbed in 1978. On March 12, 1978, Chad Burgett returned home to Phoenix after a weekend away with his family to find his sister, Pauline Robin, murdered with multiple stab wounds. Police think that whoever killed the 16-year-old knew her. They had DNA evidence, but no source for it yet, according to Fox 10 Phoenix, which we live in a decade now where we could probably get DNA, in my opinion. Next on our list we have Arkansas, with Morgan Nick disappearing from Alma Ballpark in 1995. That was the year before I was born. My sister was born that year, though. 6-year-old Morgan Nick was last seen on June 9, 1995 at a ballpark in Alma, Arkansas, according to 5 News. An unidentified man in a red truck who was seen driving away around the same time Nick disappeared was deemed a suspect, but after countless leads, authorities are no closer to finding her. Nick's family found the Morgan Nick Foundation to provide immediate assistance to families of missing children. The Arkansas Alert System is named in honor of Nick. Nancy Grace featured a cold case in 2010, and the family received a new home on Extreme Makeover Home Edition in 2012. Moving on from the A states, let's start with the B states. Well, we can't start with the B states because there's not a B state in the United States. Very hard to believe. You would very hard to believe on that one. But let's move on to the C states then, shall we? Starting with our first C state, California. And can we guess the case that's most famously known for this one? Yeah. The Zodiac. If you guessed the Zodiac Killer, you are correct. The Zodiac Killer has been connected to 5 murders and 2 attempted murders between 1960 and 1970s. But the claims responsibility for at least 37, sending coded messages to newspapers describing killing people. Zodiac Killer has been the subject of many movies, including Zodiac and Dirty Harry, which was inspired by a still open case. You know, I've never seen Dirty Harry, but I'm not probably gonna get some hate for that, but I've never seen it. A group of independent investigators called Casebreakers claimed to have identified the infamous criminal in 2021, but the San Francisco Police Department told Fox News the investigation remains ongoing. Colorado. If you don't know what this case is, you've been living under a rock. But in Colorado, when 6-year-old pageant queen JonBenét Ramsey was found dead in her family home near Boulder in 1996. That was 27 years ago, guys. I know because I'm turning 27 in July. I feel like I'm getting old. I'm kidding. Honestly, I'm okay with getting old. It's just looking old sometimes. Alright, let's get back to the video. JonBenét Ramsey was found dead in her basement of her family home on December 26, 1996. There were cords around her right wrist and her neck, and she was wearing her favorite pageant nightgown, according to Vanity Fair. Her parents also discovered a ransom note for $118,000, according to CNN. Her parents, John and Patsy Ramsey, were suspects in the case, but DNA evidence processed for JonBenét underwear in 2003 indicated the involvement of the 2 unrelated people. A man named John Mark Carr confessed to the murder in 2006, but it was ruled as a false statement because he couldn't provide any additional details and his DNA did not match what he was discovered at the scene. The case remains active. In Connecticut, this is, just a heads up, I'm terrible with names, so if I butcher this up, I don't mean to. Mary Bartaraco. And she disappeared from Sherman, Connecticut in 1984 under suspicious circumstances. Bartaraco disappeared on August 9, 1984. Her car was left parked in the driveway with the driver's side smashed in, and her wedding ring and car keys were left on the kitchen counter, according to the Hartford Courant. Her husband Dominic told authorities that they had been planning to divorce and Mary took off with $100,000 in exchange for their home. But no evidence of the money has ever been found, and Dominic didn't report her missing. A tip in 1985 alleged that Mary's death was hit by Hell's Angels, but the case is still cold to this day. Now let's start off with the first state in the Union, shall we? This is the only D state in the United States, and that is Delaware. So, Jane Marie Pritchett was found dead in Blackbird State Forest in 1986. She was pursuing a master's degree in botany at the University of Maryland and visited Blackbird State Flores many times for her research, according to Delaware Online. But on September 19, 1986, her family detailed notes stopped around 10 o'clock a.m. She was found the next day by partially clothed and dead and shot from the back. While DeForest is popular with hunters, her death was ruled a homicide. A squirrel hunter was taken into custody and questioned, but DNA evidence found exonerated him in 1987. A new cold case unit at the Newcastle County Police Department began re-examining the case in 2015, but there are no new developments. In Florida, that's right, guys. We're going to Florida. Let's see what Florida man has, guys. A triple murder in Tallahassee is unsolved for more than 50 years. And also a side note, guys, if you have any updates on this case, please feel free to put any of these in the comments, please. Robert and Helen Sims and their daughter Joy was found bagged, gagged, and stabbed and shot in their Tallahassee home October 22nd, 1966. WCTV reports. More than 50 years later, people still don't know who did it. The murder is the subject of a documentary called 641 Muriel Court and various podcasts. Next on our list we have they're the reigning national college football champs right now. Georgia. Oh, goodness. Okay. Vanessa Honey Malone was shot while visiting her friend's apartment in Stone Mountain in 2012. After a day at work in 2012, 18-year-old Vanessa Honey Malone told her mother, Flora, that she was going out. Not long, Flora heard shots from her neighboring apartment complex and was called to see if Vanessa was okay. She didn't pick up. Two friends of Vanessa's who were renting out the apartment where she was killed, and they were the victims of armed robbery, and tied up and locked in the bathroom during the attack. Her family maintains Facebook groups for solicit tips from the public in cold case. Was featured on Dateline. That I gotta go back and find this episode now. An arrest was made in April 2020, but more people were involved. We do believe, according to the DeKalb County Police Sergeant Schuler, he believes that there were multiple people that were responsible for this crime, and the investigation is still ongoing. We hope more arrests to follow. Next on our list we have Hawaii. And I remember this one because Dateline did an episode about this. This is how I know about the case. Or was it Dateline? Could have been the episode. Network, I can't remember. But, Lisa Aw was just 19 and working as a hairdresser in 1982. On January 21st, she left her boyfriend's sister's house after having dinner. Hours later, her car was found parked alongside the highway of Kailua. And her decomposing body was found 10 days later. Witnesses saw the car flashing blue lights behind her and may have been someone impersonating a police officer, prompting the Honolulu Police Department to ban supplemental blue lights. This wasn't enough evidence to change anyone with the murder. The Honolulu prosecutor told KHON2. Let's move on to our I-states. And Lord knows that we have a lot of I-states in the United States for some reason. But anyway, speaking of this next date, please be respectful of the families for the Idaho murders that happened in Moscow. Please be respectful to the families and give them their privacy in this time. Alright, so we're going to start with Idaho on that note. Between 1979 and 1982, 5 murders and disappearances were linked to a single unknown person. in the area in the border between Idaho and Washington known as Lewiston-Clarkson metropolitan area. A series of 5 murders and disappearances between 1979 and 82 remain unsolved. Out of the 5 people, only the bodies of Christina Nelson, Jacqueline Brandy Miller, and Kristen David were found. Stephen Purcell and Christina White remain missing. This case was also featured on Investigation Discovery docuseries Cold Valley and a true crime podcast called The Trail Went Cold. One of my favorite podcasts too, guys, by the way. Next we have Illinois. Whew. Okay, guys, there's more in Illinois than Chicago. Never been, but that's what I've been told. But Illinois. This is where Jacqueline Dowlibby was kidnapped in 1988 and her body was found a week later. Jacqueline Dowlibby was taken from her bedroom home as she slept in 1988 when someone broke through her Midlothian, Illinois home's basement window. Her body was found a week later at Blue Island with a rope in her family garage tied around her neck. Her parents were brought to trial, but they were acquitted due to insufficient evidence. This case was even was turned into a movie called Gone in the Night. Next on our list, we have Indiana. This is the LaSalle Street murders. And this is more than 40 years, and it is still unsolved. 3 men were found dead inside 1318 North LaSalle Street on December 1st, 1971, where the killers remain unknown. According to the Indianapolis Police Department, there was too many suspects. I think that was the problem. Okay. They just couldn't narrow it down. Various authors have claimed to have solved the case, with books such as Slaughter of North LaSalle by Robert L. Snow, The LaSalle Street Murders by Carol Sisson, but Indianapolis Police Department still considers it an open case. Last of our I states we have Iowa. Yes, something actually happens in Iowa. A double homicide in Newton committed in 1983 remains unsolved. Stephen Fisher, 20, and his girlfriend Melissa Gregory, 17. So many questions on that one, but beside the point. Were bludgeoned to death on a ranch in northwest Newton, Iowa in 1983. It's more than 30 years later. Fisher's estranged wife was charged with first-degree murder, and she was found not guilty in 2015. This case was featured on Cold Justice. Next, we're going to focus on our K through L states. The first one we're going to start with is Kansas. And in 1970, a 12-year-old Kelly Lynn Albright went missing, was found dead in the field in Reno County. 4 days later, Kelly Lynn Albright disappeared from her family home. She was found dead in a field. She was sexually assaulted and stabbed 18 times. A family friend named Glenn Davis was the suspect, but evidently the evidence that was against him was circumstantial. After being convicted of aggravated indecent liberties with a child and unrelated case in 1995, he died in prison before authorities could question him about Albright. This case inspired the mystery novel Facing September by Sarah Jenling. Next on our list, we have Kentucky. From what I've been told, it's just Alabama on bourbon. That's just what I've been told. But Kentucky. This is the murder of 19-year-old Betty Gale, who is Lexington's oldest cold case, guys. This case occurred on October 27, 1961, where she was found in front of Transylvania College own Morrison building and strangled to death with her own bra. A man confessed to the crimes in 1965, saying he was drunk, but the jury didn't buy it, and the trial ended up a hung jury. According to the Lexington Herald-Leader, a mysterious killer became a mythological figure in Lexington for an all-purpose boogeyman. This case is the subject of a book called Who Killed Betty Gale Brown by Robert G. Lawson. Louisiana. The Jennings fight was 8 women who were found in swamps near Jennings between 2005 and 2009. So we were entering the 21st century. I'm kidding, guys, I promise. 8 women from Jefferson Davis Parish in Louisiana was found dead in swamps in canals from 2005 to 2009 around Jennings, Louisiana. I've gone through there just recently. Deputies reportedly lost evidence from the investigation, and the detective brought a truck. And the acquaintance one of the victims seen it that day and said disappeared. These circumstances were overall a lack of progress. Cracking the case led to some of the suspects in the case covering them up. A 5-part Showtime documentary called Murder on the Bayou. I think that is on Paramount Plus or Hulu. I can't remember which one it is. Profiled the case, featuring footage of the victims, telling investigators of rampant misconduct and trafficking inside the jail. Alright guys, this is going to be part 1. I will talk about the M states, and I'm hopefully going to have a part 2 here coming up shortly. But I'll see y'all next time.